The people have spoken, and the winner is... Coin flip? What the fuck? Let's chat. So, I don't know if anybody paid attention to the Iowa caucus that went on yesterday and the fiasco that ensued, giving Hillary Clinton the squeak she needed to just scoot on by Bernie Sanders. But all of it came from a coin flip, or 6 of them, where she was awarded nominations, which helped give her Iowa. She won by such a close margin to Bernie, it almost would deem a recount worthy, but that's not how it works this early in the game, and with the people in power wanting Hillary to take office, can you even imagine that being a priority right now? Absolutely not. So what does this tell us all about the Bernie Sanders campaign, what he's doing right, what he maybe needs to be doing better, and just how powerful money in politics is? Well, honestly, I don't even have all the facts. A lot of politics is digging through a lot of bullshit to try to find like one piece of gold, right? Like the truth is buried under lies and decades of fallacies and whitewashing of texts and history books and all of it. Like, politics is a dirty, dirty game. However, I didn't always think that way, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video, just voting and the perception that the people have on its impact to who our political leaders are. Because growing up, I always just recognized myself as a Democrat. I grew up in a Democratic household. We were poor as balls, and honestly, we didn't make sense to be anything but Democrats. Democrat, in my mind, was a hard-working laborer who liked unions and fair wage, and a politician who wasn't going to lie to you. So I grew up thinking those were the ideals. I was a staunch Bill Clinton supporter and so on. But in the 2000 election, I wasn't quite old enough to vote. However, I started paying attention to what exactly happened during a national election. It was the election that had George W. Bush versus Al Gore, and honestly, I think the world would be a much different, safer, healthier place had Al Gore rightfully won. However, we all know that that wasn't the case. It ended up being a Bush win, with many demanding recounts for months and months. It went on forever, with no prevail, because Al Gore finally succeeded the nomination to George W. Bush. And I just remember thinking, even at 15, holy shit, did somebody just steal an election? Like, it didn't feel right that the people were already voicing their concern over a guy taking office they didn't believe in. And in my head, the country should have pulled together right there and really decided what we wanted to do going forward. I mean, this was really weird that there was proof that a lot of weird things were taking place, especially in Florida with the ballots being confusing and mismarked. It was really weird, and I just remember being like, this is strange. And then again in 2004, Bush pulled off a win. He was going up against John Kerry. John Kerry was awful. He was awful. That was the year I was so for Howard Dean, but then he had that screaming incident. We're gonna take Pennsylvania! Like, he went nuts. But that shows what can happen with just one slip up on a campaign trail. Well, fast forward to when I was able to vote that 2004 election. I thought to myself, am I really a staunch Democrat? Does that make sense for me? What are their ideals in politics? And did I want to vote for somebody I actually believed in? Because, you know, we all grow up hearing, vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, I think that motto's for pussies who don't really want to stand up for something they believe in. It's the status quo, following sheep and blindly walking to their death. I honestly think I would never put down somebody's name that I didn't believe in, which led me down such a weird fucking path. Let's continue. Okay, so for that election, I ended up writing in a name for a nomination, obviously not the winner, but I felt better in that choice, and my close friends know who I voted for. I always keep that I voted for and then I wrote the person's name on it. It's a funny little inside joke for me. I felt more morally secure writing in somebody's name who I knew would absolutely not take office, rather than putting my name on a product I didn't believe in. So fast forward through that 2004 Bush fiasco, we get to 2008, and this is when I was fucking ready. I was such a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. I wanted a woman in the White House. I felt like it was time. I felt like a woman in the White House made more sense than getting a black man in the White House. I'm not sure if that was some inherent racism because I grew up thinking, oh, presidents are always white. But I was just more pro-woman in the White House than I was for a black man. Looking back, I definitely do think it was the better choice to get Obama in the office, just because he is a follower of constitutional law and he's a smart, thinking man, and it's good to have those on occasion. However, he has his own indiscrepancies, so whatever. But in that election, I was very pro-Hillary, and when she lost the nom to Obama, I was so pissed off, and that's when, John McCain picked up Sarah Palin, and nothing made sense. It was fucking weird. And it was a year that you knew the Democrat nom was going to take the White House. Everybody in this country was sick of the Republicans and George W. Bush, and they knew he still should be charged with war crimes. However, that was another video. But honestly, thinking about it, the country and the world was just ready for a more peaceful leader. And I think we all, as a country, thought we would get either of those with those Democratic noms. But then this is where I started thinking differently about politics. After that election, I started to look into more people who started giving advice about look what happens when you don't vote. See what happens when you realize you're not actually part of the process. It's a fallacy that makes us think we have any power in who's going to be in charge of the world. That is not something that us as a slave society is going to be given the power to control when the 6 families with all the money who control all the banks, which controls all the media, which controls all our information, which is falsified to keep hidden the fact that they're poisoning our air and our water and our food and our education system and creating race and drug and age wars, and we're not coming together as a unit. Because if we did that, then politics would simply be just a leadership structure. And honestly, we would work as a people. It wouldn't matter the color of our skin. It wouldn't matter our personal ideals. We are working as a unit to better human society. And I think honestly, I started thinking about what the hell are Democrats really doing? Who's funding Democrats? Am I really getting any more benefit by having somebody who says they're actually okay with gay people, they just don't know if they like gay marriage, rather than somebody who wants to hunt us? No, neither made me happy. I wanted somebody who was pro-gay people and pro-minorities in general. So I started thinking, you know what, maybe the best thing to do is to tell people to not vote. Let's all realize this lie. Maybe if we went an election cycle where everybody boycotted voting, we'd realize that our government isn't run by us, the people. Our government is run by corporate America and Wall Street, and it's just the cold hard truth. A lot of people aren't ready to face it yet, and that sucks because it keeps us stuck in somewhat of a dark ages. We can't move forward if most of society is stuck in mud. We need to come together and teach and educate, but then the people speaking the truth are villainized and made to look crazy or killed or run out of the country. Hashtag Edward Snowden. These are people we need to start paying attention to, and until we do, we're heading towards extinction, and there's no stopping it, especially while electing somebody from a bipartisan government. It's not going to happen. So with my newfound view on bipartisan government not being the best situation for any country, and how I started to realize that us saying democracy was the best thing in the whole world when I myself, a white boy growing up with white privileged ideals and surroundings, still felt really restricted, and I feel like my freedoms were chopped in half, if not more. My privacy was being infringed. We were voting on things that should be my innate right as a human being, and I didn't like it. So I started thinking, okay, I'm going to start telling people not to vote. And then this election came around, and I started watching somebody named Bernie Sanders. And needless to say, he gave me just enough hope to think that something good could come out of politics. Somebody who refuses super PAC money, who starts a grassroots campaign to really get the people involved in the politics. Someone who's speaking up for minorities and helping give them some recognition they rightfully deserve that no other politician is speaking to. Who else do you see on the campaign trail that's speaking at Black Lives Matter movements, along with gay rights activists, along with women's rights? He's speaking up for everybody. He will be the president of the people. We just need to get him there. It is our responsibility to make sure that we remember that Hillary Clinton was anti-gay. Hillary Clinton was a part of the 90s Libya invasion. Hillary Clinton is supported by the Clinton Foundation, which is largely founded by Saudi Arabia money, which, out of all Arab nations, is the very most Sharia law practicing. And yet we bomb Yemen, the poorest Arab nation. And for some reason, we don't speak of it. And we pretend that these illegal invasions into Iraq back in 2001 and 2002 don't need to be discussed because it's not our history that's really being affected. It's the Iraqi people's history. And I guess if they have brown skin, they just don't matter as much as us white people who are comforted while we bleed red, white, and blue. Nobody wants to speak that truth, that Americans feel safe under this blanket, but the moment you question your government is the moment it turns on you. And what the fuck is that? Are we really trying to re-elect somebody who is probably the biggest war hawk running? Somebody who, in my personal opinion, seems like she's been closeted for going on at least 3 decades in the public eye, and yet she was heavily against gay marriage just 15 years ago. It's weird to me. It's weird that none of these things are being discussed, and everybody wants to put Hillary in the office because she has a vagina. And power to the people, and I want to get women in the office, trust me. But just because she is a woman doesn't mean she's the best qualified to run this country. And that's who we need in the office. Somebody who is best qualified to run the country. Bernie Sanders has the experience, he has the knowledge, and he has the fortitude. He also has the people behind him, not corporations. This is stuff you're not going to hear on local media, and it's the stuff you're going to run into opposition at every angle. Everybody wants to oppose a brighter future, and I'm still trying to figure out why. We should be uniting and coming together and realizing that somebody who has people's interests at heart and not big banks is probably somebody we want taking us into this millennium. We want to advance so we don't go extinct, if I'm correct. I assume that we all want to better ourselves and keep educating and not let technology get so much ahead of us that we can't even understand it and the common person could more or less just be controlled by it. Let's make sure we know what we're doing. Let's make sure we keep educating and we don't create generations of kids who don't ever ask or investigate situations, don't ever critically think. We don't want that because they're our future and that's important. So think about some of the stuff in this video. Please comment below with any of your ideas or contributions to anything discussed. And I look forward to hearing from you and debating it further. Take care of yourself today. Love to all and have a good one. Hopefully your weather's decent. I know the Midwest is getting bombarded in snow. Much love. Stay warm. Huddle by a fire. Take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.